Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and in this video today, guys, I'm going to go over with you 10 reasons why we are the very last generation. Now, I encourage you to get a pen and piece of paper and make notes because there's tons and tons of scripture to go over. I'm not going to be able to cover all of it today. You're going to have to do your due diligence and read it on your own time. These 10 reasons, I'm going to go from the most obvious to me to the most profound and hard-hitting. Now, with that said, to begin this off with, I would start with Matthew chapter 24. So many people have bought into the pre-tribulation rapture doctrine. Now, if you buy into this, there's a big issue. Is Messiah himself plainly explains that there's no exit before the tribulation. Matter of fact, that there's even more stuff to come following the tribulation before he arrives. In Matthew chapter 24, if you read that verse right there in particular, as he's saying after the tribulation of those days, some scriptures may say tribulation, some may say distress. The word actually translates across as tribulation. You can check this out in eSword. You can check this out in a Strong's Concordance. But nevertheless, the first and most profound point to me, obviously, would be the pre-tribulation rapture doctrine belief. This is a new thing. All the generations before, I've never found any research beyond the 1800s that anybody bought into such a thing. Is that everybody knew hard times was coming. And let's face it, everyone in the church throughout the history of humanity, all the way back to Noah, has went through hard times. They didn't get a free ride. Okay? So, now that'd be point number one. Building on point number one, also in Matthew chapter 24, but more digress towards something else, is the Genesis 6 experiment is what I would label it. Now, Rob Skiba, I give him credit for that because it is definitely the best way to label this. In Genesis chapter 6, we see the fallen angels coming down on Mount Hermon, descending, and mating with the daughters of men. Now, what we have here is, building on Matthew 24, is Messiah said that the last days would be as the days of Noah before he came back again. Well, now we have the days of Noah arriving back again because the things that the fallen angels done with mankind in that generation is starting to reappear again in our last generation. Line for line, the things that are going on. Everything from mating man with an animal to smiting the child in the womb, child abortion, to the weapons of warfare, all the things that the fallen angels taught mankind and started mingling flesh with this and that and all these things. Now our last generation, is that technology has come back again, those things. And the book of Hanok, chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, to the best of my knowledge, can help you build a better understanding of this as well. Now you can get you a copy of that at HalleluyahScriptures.com, link in the video description below, or you can read an online source that I believe the same one I've read in the past. I don't completely endorse that copy. There might be some errors here and there in translation, but nevertheless it's a copy to get you started until you can get you a good copy. Now, the thing that I would also say to that is the UFO thing. I just done a video about this. You can see it in the video description below. The deception that's going on in the last days is, you know, the departed spirits of the giants that was from Noah's day in the flood are starting to seduce humanity again, get people to believe that they're aliens from another planet when all they are is the fallen, wicked, with the technology that they had before the flood, and they're deceiving humanity through the means of that they can transfigure in front of men. Quantum physics is what it boils down to, and it's nothing but deception, and they will be put down at the last day. So anyway, check out that video link as well. Point number 3 is the signs in the heavens. There's so many profound things taking place on the Creator's calendar on His appointed holy days, blood moon eclipses, and so on. Now, what I would say to this is that whether you pay attention to the blood moon eclipses or you're one of these people that may be thinking the Planet X factor is playing in, I don't endorse nor deny the Planet X. If it comes, it comes. If it don't, then great. But one thing that I do find that in Revelation that there is something, an outside factor, at least for the first 4 trumpets, that definitely bring that about. Not only this, but I found in an outside source, and I'll put the link in the video description below, is Pontius Pilate wrote to Caesar Augustus, the best I remember the account, and during the impalement of Messiah on the stake, we find that the sky went dark, then the stars shone, then the stars were blotted out. Then that night, when it was supposed to be a blood moon eclipse, that the moon was blotted out. Now this would have to be something, a third heavenly body separating between the earth and the moon and sun, just like my hand would be that right now between us. All that I can, as an astronomer, as a novice astronomer, I would say that that would have to be another planetary heavenly body or something blotting out the sun and moon between the earth for that to happen. Otherwise, it'd be a completely supernatural event. And what I find throughout Scripture, just like the flood or the parting of the Red Sea, is Master Yahweh used a strong wind to part the Red Sea, so he used something natural in a supernatural way. Who knows? Time will tell. But as far as the signs in the heaven and the things happening on the Creator's calendar, you can see a video we've done at the ministry covering it in the video description below. This is one of the third thing that has stuck out to me in the past. Number 4. I don't speak on this much over the channel. I've not spoken on it much over the years, but I've really started hammering it a lot lately, is the New World Order. As we can see, the New World Order is spoken of in Scripture. It is the kings of the earth coming together under the reign of Lucifer and his kingdoms. This started with Babylon, then Medo-Persia, then Greece, then Rome, and then the divisions of Rome. We are living in the last generation under the divisions of the Roman Empire. You can find in Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7 the prophecies concerning this. You can also find some video links below where I covered this at the ministry at Loud Cry Ministries on Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. Very informative. And it goes to show you just how close we are to the return of Messiah, because that great stone cut without hands is to smite those last kingdoms and the division of the Roman Empire. This time is coming very soon, and the Master will return. Number 5 would be 2 ESDRAS chapter 16. Now, although 2 ESDRAS chapter 16 is not covered in the King James Version Bible and canonized in many scriptures, you can find a copy of it, and I've got a link to it below in the video description. As you read 2 ESDRAS, especially chapter 16, it speaks of the last generation. It also speaks of the beginning of sorrows. Now, what happens at the beginning of sorrows? Well, this takes place. Egypt, Syria, which is spoken of in 2 ESDRAS as Damasek, which is Damascus in Syria today, and Babylon, which is Iraq today, and Asia, which we believe that the ministry is speaking of Iran today, and also Brother Joe done a video covering this at Loud Cry Ministries, is that these 4 would be a desolation. And this is the beginning of sorrows. As we can see, the Arab Spring done took care of Egypt. It's a desolation. Babylon is a desolation, which is Iraq today. Many wars. And the Damascus, Syria, is already starting to have serious conflict. And Iraq, with the nuclear thing going on right now, who knows when that thing's going to erupt. Number 6 is Revelation chapter 13 and 17. Now in Revelation chapter 13 we see 2 beast powers. One rises from the sea. As you can find, the scripture verse right there describes that sea is multitudes, nations, and tongues. That was the Roman Empire and what is turned into the Roman Catholic Church. The papacy ruled over the known world at the time. Then it was struck down by the French Empire. Well, while the papacy went into exile, another beast power rose from the nothingness. So that means that it was from a sparsely populated people. You also see the video description below, the links, videos I've done covering this, Revelation 13 and so on. The 2 beast powers, when the one fell, the other one rose. It had 2 horns and spoke like a lamb. It looked like a lamb, spoke like a dragon. Well, the 2 horns is church and state, I believe, and is the United States of America. It's the only kingdom that arose at that time that's great and described in Scripture like it is. Then it began to speak like a dragon. We are living in the time frame when the beast power is beginning to speak like a dragon and forcing all to worship Rome through false religious system, false worship on a false calendar, and so on. Disrespect to the commandments and forward. Revelation 17, though, continues to build up on this and speak of the kings, these kings that are in the last generation. Well, if you count from the time the papacy got her power back to now, we're living in the very last, under the very last king, the very last pontiff or pope, as they say. Well, I had made a mistake a few years ago thinking that Pope John Paul II would be the last pontiff. And it would be a demonic impersonation of him or something, because of the way that it described it being the 8th king would be of the 7. But the 8th king is of that number. It is of the last, those kings, that is the last. Okay? So we see this going on as well, and there's video in the video description below. You can see a lot more information about this. I'm trying to cover all these points very quickly today to get you started, a foundation. And these things are taking place right now as we speak. They're not made up. You can see the prophecy unfolding before us. So this to me is very profound. I mean, one of the greatest that woke me up personally. Number 7 is the Creator's calendar and His appointed times of worship. Now, the Creator's calendar video link below, you can find it. It's a wonderful documentary we've done at Loud Crime Ministries, taking you step by step to restoring the Creator's holy appointed times. We just re-uploaded it after editing, after having it up for years and being one of the most watched video documentaries about it. We've put more content in it and re-uploaded it, so now there's even more knowledge in there for you to take from it. Though, the point I would make about this is that the mark is coming. Those that don't worship the Father and do His will, keep His commandments, believe on His Son, will receive the mark. It is important that we worship Him on His appointed times, because very soon, while we still have the opportunity to choose right now, very soon the time is coming when people will be forced to either worship on the false calendar or worship the Creator's calendar, and it may cost you your life irregardless. But it's important we choose which path we're going to walk and whom we serve. Anyway, check the video link below. Great documentary, and tell you more. Number 8 is the true Hebrews. Many people believe that the true Hebrews are the ones in Israel today. They believe the nation's been restored, and it couldn't be further from the truth. Those people in that land today are imposters. They are Ashkenazi Jews. They're not the true Hebrews. They are from the land of Ashkenaz, and Ezekiel 36 speaks of these people that gave the land unto themselves and to the Gentiles that gave the land unto themselves. Furthermore, the Scripture goes on to speak in Revelation about till the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Now, this is very important to understand, because when the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled, that land is given back to the true Hebrews. The Most High is coming back and His Son, and they are going to restore the true Hebrews back to their land. The true Hebrews are what is referred to as the African American, the black, so on. And some of the Sephardic people, I believe, that's still in the land of Israel today and in Africa. Not every person that's black is the true Hebrew. It's only those under the curse of Deuteronomy 28. It's very important you understand this. Now, I've done a video about the true Hebrews. Make sure to watch it in the video description below. It's about 85% of the material, in my opinion, that you can find about the true Hebrews. A good 80% at least. There's a lot more I continue to find all the time about the true Hebrews. But Ezekiel 36, read it as well, because it's a restoration of the people. There'll be a time come when the gates are open. They'll dwell in peace. The Most High is going to gather them out of all the nations and bring them back into their land. Lots of Scripture details this out. Be not deceived. This is just one of those great end-day deceptions, and it's to keep you blinded as to where we're at in prophecy. Number 9. These two last points are the ones that are the most profound to me, to make me shocked and pay attention to the last generation and get prepared for the return of Messiah. Number 9 is universal apostasy. 2 Peter, I believe it's the writings of 2 Peter. I'll put the link right there. You can see where that Peter speaks of apostasy in the last days. You can see the great falling away in the last days. Not only this, but the church itself. You know, I am only a humble servant of Master Yahuwah. I don't claim Christianity, Islam, Judaism, none of that. I'm just a humble servant of Master Yahuwah, because all religion has become corrupt. There's denominationalism in Christianity. There's all sorts of wickedness in Judaism. There's all sorts of wickedness in Islam. All the other religions of the world are false anyway, and the ones that are supposed to be pointing to the Most High, the one that Abraham served, they've gone astray as well. Universal apostasy is at the head, and the man of sin in the Roman Catholic Church is guiding this. It is very important that you understand and get away from Babylon, exit religion today, and get back to the Scripture and the Most High only. This is one of the things that has turned me so far back to the Scriptures, seeing all the universal apostasy around me, especially in the church house nowadays. People are being taught the things that they want to hear in their ears, not true prophecy, not end days, not the things that the pastor should be teaching. And this is a huge wake-up for those that are out there. You should definitely be awake to this. Number 10, and the most biggest point to me, is the total lack of care in humanity. People nowadays, from atheism to complete apostasy, like I said a minute ago, to living ungodliness, to completely doing any abomination that's out there today. I'm a sinner, so please don't count this as judging. I mean, the Scripture judges us all. Is that everything that's going on out there in the world today, if you look at it with Scripture as your glasses and lens to go through this all, is there's never been a time in the history of humanity where there's a total lack of care like there is now. We have everything from fallen angels, demonic beings manifesting inside of man and humanity, just like the days of Noah, all the way up to atheism, to completely not believing in a creator at all, to right down the middle of paradisium, to abominations working in everything from eating, unclean things, to murder, to sorcery, to drug sorcery, to all the things that's going on in our last generation. It just blows my mind. Now is the time to return to the Most High. Now is the time to keep the Father's commandments, believe on His Son, and trust in the Father. I hope these 10 points are a wake-up to you. Please check all the following information below, because this is the last generation, I believe with all my heart. We need to be prepared. Make sure to visit soundloudcry.com also, for there's a lot more information there as well. Till we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel and the next scripture discussion, I hope you have a most blessed day. In Yahushua's name.